This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So let's talk about this Iran war. That's over now, and the agreement will be signed on Friday. Some on the right not happy about it. I'm not even going to worry about or talk about anybody on the left that has a problem with it, because, again, Trump could ban, or at least he can endorse oxygen, and then there are certain Democrats who literally would stop breathing if he supported breathing. Or he could support a ban on pineapple on pizza, and then suddenly Democrats would, pineapple on pizza is actually quite awesome. No, it ain't. The point is that some on the right are saying that Trump is taking a soft deal here. And I try to look at things as objectively as possible. And here's all I know. That before this war began, the Iranians had a navy that they no longer have. They had whatever you want to pass for an air force, they no longer have. They can't control their skies in any way, shape, or form. Their drone capabilities are severely diminished, as is their missile capability in general. And their nuclear capabilities will be underground for many, many years, if not forever. And if they even try to restart that program, since we have eyes everywhere and intelligence everywhere, the minute they go down that road, we have a president right now who will not even flinch in beginning the bombing again. That is the difference here. When people say it's the same thing we had it under Obama. No, it's not. Under Obama, we did the whole, hey, we trust you. Oh, you're not going to pursue nuclear weapons? Okay. Hey, what are you building in that mountain over there? It's nothing. It's just for energy purposes, which is why you would totally build a facility like that, miles underground. It was nuclear, obviously, for nefarious purposes, to blackmail the West, to wipe Israel off the map, to maybe one day reach the United States. Right? These are maniacs, and they don't care about killing their own people, even themselves, the whole 72 virgins thing. So when I look at all this overall, you have to say, while it's not a perfect deal, and no one's going to say that, if we got 80% of what we wanted, that's a hell of a lot better than where we were. And the price of oil continues to plummet. Gas prices are following suit. I saw 2 gas stations today in Jersey where gas was $3.97 below $4. That's good. If it gets around $3 or below heading into the midterms, then you tell me what Democrats will run on. Because, all right, they always point to the war. There won't be a war. Then they point to gas prices. Well, gas prices will be infinitely lower than they were under the Auto-Pen administration. Then I look at the economy overall. The jobs reports have been excellent over the last couple of months. If those continue, all right, good stuff. Earnings have been excellent. That's why you see a Dow Jones 53,000. It's done nothing but go up, basically, since the Iran war began. Because the street knows that maybe in the long run, this is a very, very good thing. So now you have Venezuela, who now is an open partner with the United States. Iran, if they're smart, will follow suit, just like so many Arab nations. Oman, Saudi Arabia, UAE, far more reliable than Spain, England, and Germany. France, that's certainly for sure. So it's a new world. And here's Trump again, saying that if Iran misbehaves, here is what's going to happen. And this is the difference whenever you hear about Trump and Obama and accepting a bad deal. No, this is a very, very big difference, besides the whole wiping out their whole military and leadership part. Cut number 20, go.
Is the text of the agreement now final, or are you still...
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding. And if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
When do you expect the word...
If I don't like it, if they don't behave... we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head. Okay? Because they've misbehaved for 47 years.
And finally, somebody's doing something about that. So, again, if you want the old world, before Trump made all these moves, as far as the bombing of Fordo and the nuclear facilities, and then this war, where we had a very, very low number of casualties when you compare them to other wars that have gone on for much, much longer. Afghanistan, 2 decades. Iraq, over a decade. Vietnam, that slogged for many, many years. This was a couple of months. And we lost 13 service members, and we honored their sacrifice. But when you compare 13 relatively to thousands killed, thousands more maimed or permanently injured, well, considering what we have now gained, I think this is really a no-brainer. And by the way, the big picture that no one talks about is China. Because Iran being neutered, that's not good for China. China is more and more isolated than ever before. And the Russians didn't come to Iran's defense either. And they have like an economy that's like the size of New York State. So Russia, scary, Soviet Union, talks a big game. I don't even think they're a player at this point. And hopefully the Ukraine conflict comes to an end soon as well, even though we don't hear anything about that war. We haven't. When was the last time you read a story about a bombing in Ukraine or Ukraine bombing in Russia or this number of troops died? It is a forgotten war because it's such a stalemate that's going nowhere. I think Putin's finally realizing that you can't throw bodies at this infinitely and win this war. So if that ends and Venezuela, you got Maduro going to jail and you have Iran, again, the Ayatollahs ain't running things anymore. Who knows who's running things over there, but it's probably better than what we had. And they can't threaten the West the way they used to, whether it's through a nuclear weapon or the threat of a nuclear weapon. Again, I think we're in a much better place. Meanwhile, here's more of the president. He's over at the G7 in France talking about what Iran used to call Obama when Obama would make truly limp deals with that Islamic Republic. This is cut number 21. Go.
$1.7 billion in cash, green cash from banks, into a Boeing 757 and flew it into Iran. And they stood at the plane. I have pictures of it like, oh my God, look at this money he's giving us. He tried to bribe his way out. I didn't do that. Nobody mentions that. 1.7 billion and hundreds of millions of dollars. They tried to bribe their way out of it. And you know what the Iranians did? They laughed at Obama and they said he's a stupid son of a bitch.
Oh.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
And that's the end of that press conference. So that's all we're going to say here at this point, that Trump holds all the cards here. And I think, again, he took action when no one else would all those years. Obama, Biden, Bush, got to do something about Iran, and no one did. And now someone did. And again, once these gas prices come down, if you look at this big picture, and let's say it's now mid-June, let's go to mid-October, and we have gas prices below 3. This whole, hey, the deal isn't all that great talk from the right will quickly be forgotten. And then you see the congressional ballots shrinking more and more as far as the Democrat lead is now down to 3. If it's 3 points, they ain't taking back the House and they're not taking the Senate. Because as you know, these polls always undercount Republican support. And if they're going to run again on Trump is bad and we have to save democracy, that's just not going to fly, is it? And it's going to be a pleasure, by the way, watching George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's ex-husband, guy who really wanted to work in the Trump administration, wanted to work Solicitor General, I believe. And Trump rejected it. And then since then, Conway has been just a whiny bitch. Sorry. Just for now more than 10 years, starts the Lincoln Project with a pedophile on MS Now and CNN on X all day, screaming about how horrible he is, convinced E. Jean Carroll, that maniac, to obviously go ahead with that suit against Trump of sexual assault, even though she can't remember the year it happened. The fact that a jury said, yeah, we believe you, when you can't name the year, when there's no witnesses, no evidence, something seriously wrong with our justice system here in New York. Well, we know why they voted the way they did. The point is that Conway is running for a Democrat seat in the 12th district of New York, and he's about to get smoked. And it's going to be a pleasure watching him come in at like 4 or 5%. The New York Times gave him a glowing profile. He gets on TV everywhere, and no one, even Democrats, are electing that freak. Oh, let's also go to this, shall we? Zahra Mamdani has endorsed, and this is just for this reason alone, I don't want this person to win. Well, actually, there's several reasons. But Daria Liza Alieva Chavrale. I mean, I got to say that name for 4 years. Can we just do an AOC with her? DLAC? Yeah, DLAC. Okay. This person is profoundly anti-Semitic. We have, obviously, audio that we played on here in the past calling U.S. an imperial nation. U.S. is the enemy. Now she wants to represent the U.S., the enemy, in Congress. And of course, Mamdani has endorsed her because, again, behind that smile is also an anti-Semite who hates Israel, hates Jews, hates cops. And everybody's buying this little act right now. And I love the fact that he's like basically taking credit for the Knicks winning their first championship in 53 years. Like, ooh, good karma. See, I'm here and now we're winning. No, it doesn't work that way. Anyway, DLAC, Daria Liza Alieva Chavrale, say that fast 5 times. She was in a debate last night on New York One, Spectrum, whatever they're calling it now. My first job in television, as a matter of fact. And here is Mamdani's congressional choice. And this is, well, just insane. Cut 16, go.
And we deserve representation that's going to fight for the needs of our community, that's going to fight to win housing for all, fight to make sure that our tax dollars come back to our communities, to invest in our communities, fight to make sure that we are abolishing ICE and that we are creating pathways to citizenship for our community so that our community no longer has to fear the terror of ICE.
So if you got that last part, abolish ICE, so no enforcement whatsoever in expelling gang members, MS-13 members, that torture people, kill people, murderers, rapists, child molesters, sex traffickers. She wants those people out. Then everybody that's illegal in the city should become U.S. citizens. So she could be in power permanently. That's what that really means. And again, this is a person who's called the U.S. the enemy. End of ball game. It should be. But, you know, you smile enough during these debates and then you say, well, you know, all those tweets where I said all these things saying that we need to defund the police, for example, which she has written. Well, I really didn't mean it, or I've evolved, or, well, that was a different time. And we have a gutless media in New York that simply will not challenge her the way she should be challenged. All right, one more cut from DLAC, number 4. Oh, boy, here we go. 4, go.
Ms. Chevalier, very quickly, can you respond to what the Mr. Espaillat said regarding your past social media posts wanting to abolish the police?
You know, I really think that when in a time where we are spending more money than we have ever spent on policing, in a time where policing is more militarized than it has ever been,
oh boy,
the fact that we are still asking the question, do we feel safe, is very telling.
So you still want to defund the police? Because that's what that sounds like. But they've been militarized more than anybody ever before. That was Kamala-esque kind of 1,000 Island word salad. But I would hope that enough people understand that she will make this city infinitely less safe, especially for Jews. And by the way, in her district, 40,000 Jews live in the district that she is running for, NY13, I believe it is. And I swear, if I see like a majority of Jews voted for this person, then I just hand in, you know, your credentials at this point because of the things that she said on October 8th, 2023, after the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. And she was cheering this on. This person cannot go to Congress. Mamdani supports her. And with that endorsement, maybe it will be enough. I guess we will see. All right. Well, before we go to break, let's remind everybody again what DLAC, Mamdani's girl, said back in 2023, one day. Actually, Jews were still being massacred at this point by Hamas. And this is her in Times Square. This is why this person can never get near 500 yards of any congressional office. Cut number 6, go.
Who is the terrorist? Who is the terrorist? The United States of America. We feel the Palestinian blood. We feel the Palestinian blood. And we stand in solidarity with Palestine. We have the historic responsibility. We have the historic responsibility.
She called the U.S. the terrorists. Want to elect her? Okay, guys. 25 years after 9/11. Congratulations, everyone. This is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. We're back with happier thoughts in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks.
That is fire. Whoa, that's good. This might be the drink of the summer. Okay, I like this one too. I'm rocking with it. Okay.
Try it for yourself. Starbucks Refreshers Concentrates are coming home. Find them in the coffee aisle and make it yours.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, one of the biggest clowns in media, and trust me, that's a long, long lineup that we're looking at here. But if I were to put two people at the top, they're both former CNN anchors and White House correspondents. Don Lemon, of course, and his new BFF, Jim Acosta, both doing podcasts from their kitchens currently. And then Acosta leaves the kitchen once in a while and actually ventures out to do field reporting. And in this case, he has been in front of the Kennedy Center for the last couple of days, talking about how Trump's name is coming off of that center. Remember, Trump renamed it, which, again, all these other presidents can name things after themselves, but Trump doesn't. It's a big, big problem. Some judge, liberal, obviously, said that Trump's name needs to come down. So Acosta's been outside the Kennedy Center, and this is his actual report. This person actually lectures people on journalism. And the comparison he makes here to Trump's name coming off of a place where theater is performed, and the thing he compares it to, one of the biggest events in human history, is just the best unintentional comedy out there. Cut number 2, go.
But this is a giant waste of time, and it's a sign of what a petulant man-child he can be. But as we've been saying all night long, and all day long for that matter, this is very much like watching the Berlin Wall coming down. It is a sign that mankind, that humankind can stand up against tyranny.
Tyranny? It's the Kennedy Center. And you compare it to the fall of communism in 1989? East and West Germany, the Berlin Wall coming down? And this guy who got paid 7 figures by CNN, and all these journalists, when his White House, his press badge was taken away, because he basically accosted an intern, took over every press conference, made it all about himself, did speeches, didn't even ask questions. This guy compares Trump's name coming off the Kennedy Center, where it's been there for about 5 minutes, to the fall of the Berlin friggin' Wall. Wow. Now, as I look at the Jim Acosta show here, let's see. The latest edition today went up 3 hours ago. He has on a girl who pretends to be an objective journalist in Tara Palmieri, when she's obviously far left. If you go on the show, then you are no longer objective. 7,100 views of the Jim Acosta show on YouTube. Great job, Jim. Boy, I could put up kittens playing with yarn and get 50 times that number in about an hour. That's just me. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. We have so much more when we come back.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So, wow, my kid's school ends next week. Elementary school, my 4th grader, my little girl, no longer really little anymore, 6th grade, going to 7th. It's amazing. I was in Boise, Idaho for a speech a couple months back, and speaking to some great people out there, they gave me a tour of the Boise State University Stadium, which normally I'm not running to a college stadium to go see it necessarily, unless it's like the Big House in Michigan or, the Swamp in Georgia. But in this case, Boise State is the only field in college football that has blue turf. They actually have a copyright or a patent on it or something where no one else can do this. And then they wear blue uniforms, so they kind of blend in with the turf. It's genius on many levels. So I always wanted to see the blue turf, take a picture on the blue turf. My friends get a kick out of this stuff. But anyway, in Boise, these guys were telling me, because I saw one kid drive by and I'm like, boy, that kid looks awfully young to be driving. And the guy driving me around says, oh, well, in Idaho, you can get a driver's license as young as 14 years old. 14? My daughter turns 13 this year. She could barely drive a go-kart, let alone a car. So she's like, can we move to Idaho, please? I want my license. I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, it's nice to visit, but I'm not living in Idaho. Believe me, potatoes, they only get you so far. And in Nebraska, apparently, in some parts of Nebraska, you can get a driver's license at 13 years old, because most of it, I was in Illinois not too long ago, southern Illinois, which is basically like Nebraska. I can see why it's easy. Every road is straight, long, with no lights. Not bad. So, but nope, I'll be around here to host this wonderful show for the foreseeable future out of New Jersey. Meanwhile, so Al Gore is now celebrating, which the balls on this guy, and balls in the wrong way. He's celebrating this whole thing where he is now claiming that his documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, was actually correct. And he's almost doing this. No, he is. What am I talking about? He's doing a victory dance now at this point on all the things that he says generally he was right on. And I'll go through the list after this as far as everything he got wrong times 10. But thank God ABC News is here, or MSNBC. I'm sorry, MSABC, we should call them at this point. They're here to assist Al Gore in his claim that all of his dire climate predictions 20 years ago, he's actually right, except he's not. Cut number one, go.
If the scientists were dead right, why has so much been made about this documentary in what was wrong?
Well, they cherry picked a few little, how many years before the Arctic is ice free.
Kilimanjaro,
the snows of Kilimanjaro are complicated for sure. The main elements, as the scientific community has been very generous to confirm, are right.
Oh, they're right. Okay. Let's see. Let's go through this, shall we? Because this is just too good to be true. I wrote about this actually earlier in the year because that was the release date, January 31st, 2006. So I had a column out on the Washington Examiner about this. And again, I always thought Gore handled himself with some class after the 2000 election, where his legal team wanted to keep the fight in every court possible going to prove that Gore won Florida and therefore won that election. And no, Bush won by something like, I think, 538 votes in Florida, which is incredible that a presidential election was that close in Florida, and ended up being the 43rd president. I can only imagine if Al Gore became president, because he seemed in the 90s somewhat reasonable, like he was kind of an invisible vice president under Clinton. He didn't talk about the climate stuff that much. I think because he always knew he was going to run for president. So, all right, be the moderate. And when you get in, then you're basically AOC, except 20 years before AOC came along. So An Inconvenient Truth won all sorts of awards, 2 Oscars, by the way, Best Documentary. He won a Nobel Peace Prize for it as well. So I went through the things that he got wrong. He mentioned Mount Kilimanjaro before. That's about 200 miles from the equator. It's in Tanzania. He said it would cease to have any snow on it by 2016. All right, so he says this in 2006. In 2016, no more snow. Well, 10 years after 2016, despite it being summer in Tanzania, right now, as we speak, there is snow, large glaciers, ice caps on Kilimanjaro, despite the tropical climate below. And Gore is saying that, well, they cherry picked that. That's a pretty big effing claim you made, former Mr. Vice President. And he's not returning his awards either. Okay. Then he said, quote, some of the models suggest that Dr. Maslowski, he's a climate scientist, that there is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap during the summer months could be completely ice-free within 5 to 7 years. Okay, here's your reality check. Ice at the North Pole ice cap actually has accumulated in the past couple of years. And at the South Pole, there has been a record accumulation of ice on the Antarctic ice sheet over a period from 2021 until now. But here's the best part. At that time, in 2006, the research professor that I just mentioned, that Gore quoted in that movie, was not happy that he was completely misquoted in said movie. Quote, "It's unclear to me how this figure was arrived at. I would never try to estimate likelihood of anything as exact as this." Again, no apology from Gore. And then finally he says, and this was Gore, quote, "So as the ocean gets warmer, it has an impact on Antarctica. If this were to go, sea level worldwide would go up 20 feet. Greenland would also raise sea level almost 20 feet if it went. If Greenland broke up and melted, or half of Greenland and half of West Antarctica broke up and melted, let's see, this is what happened to the sea level in Florida." Then he puts up this basic, simulation where Miami would be gone. He also talks about how San Francisco would be gone, New York would be gone, the Netherlands would be gone, 40 million people would be displaced, and then over in Bangladesh, apparently 60 million people would be displaced. So 100 million people displaced. None of this is happening. And there's ABC News saying Gore was right. Yeah, little small things, but as a whole, Al Gore was right. That is not news. They are MSABC for a reason, and they don't get enough credit for being utter hacks when you try to defend Al Gore, where there is no defending Al Gore on this one. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton back in the news. Again, what a coward Hillary Clinton is. You say the election in 2016 was stolen from you. Why didn't you run in 2020? You're still young. Why not run in 2020? Put your money where your mouth is. You could have had a rematch against Trump. It was stolen from you. Oops, didn't run. 2024, she could have run too. She was still younger than Trump at that time. Didn't run then either. Interesting. All right, just saying. Anyway, now, all these months later, she is saying that Joe Biden shouldn't have run again. Oh, let's talk about inconvenient. This is really convenient for her to say this. Let's see. Nearly 18 months after the election, cut number 9, go.
He made a terrible mistake for himself, his legacy, and for the country. He had said that he would not run again. I believe if he had kept to that plan and said in, say, the late summer of 23 that he wasn't going to run, we would have had a real contest. I believe whoever emerged from that would have beaten Donald Trump.
No, they wouldn't have, actually, because the country was in horrible shape. High inflation. Obviously, the border wide open. Why would a different candidate make a difference? They all supported this stuff. They all voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. So what are you saying? Somebody else ran? That would be different. And that's a knock on Kamala Harris. So again, Hillary, since you're saying that if it wasn't Kamala, then somebody else would have won, that somebody else could be you. Except she just does these conferences with these beta males who just simply, here's what I would do. I'd say that's funny. Madam Secretary, what do you call her, right? I guess Hillary, Mrs. Clinton, fine. Here's what you said back in 2024, where you totally supported Biden-Harris. You didn't seem to have any objections then. Cut number 10, go.
Do you think President Biden should run again in 2024?
I think that's totally his decision. Absolutely. I think he's done a really terrific job. And so, yes, I want him to run if that's what he wants to do. And of course, I'll support him.
Oh, man, this stuff is really too easy. It really is. But anytime Hillary gets interviewed, it's always MS Now or CNN, and they will not do the simple 8-second Google search that I did. Did Hillary Clinton ever support the Biden-Harris ticket going into the 2024 election? Yep, sure did. We just heard it. Meanwhile, we're not going to play the whole thing here, Kevin, but here is Hillary now being asked about Graham Plattner, the Nazi guy running for Senate in Maine. The guy who says black people don't tip. The guy who says that women should be more mature and more adult if they want to avoid rape. The guy who mocked a Purple Heart recipient. The guy who embraces communism. The guy who wants to defund ICE and border security. That guy. All right, Hillary, do you endorse Graham Plattner? And this is why, to this day, she is so bad at this. Cut number 11, go.
I feel about him the way I feel about any candidate. I want to see what kind of candidate he actually turns out to be. The bumps on the road that he has experienced and some of the things he has said.
Bumps on the road?
Yeah, I mean, clearly bumps on the road.
He abused ribbon.
Prior behavior, some of his prior statements. And I will tell you, I served with Susan Collins. She is going to be very hard to beat. And it's going to be a tough election. So I'm reserving.
But if you were a Mainer, where would you pull the lever?
But I'm not a Mainer. I'm a New Yorker.
You're not a New Yorker either, by the way. All right, that's good enough, Kev. See? Couldn't? All right. Do you endorse him then? Well, I want to see what kind of candidate he is. You don't have enough evidence of what kind of candidate he is? Oh, man. I mean, talk about as spineless as a jellyfish. Hillary Clinton. Oh, no, I'm not a Mainer. I'm a New Yorker. Actually, no. You're from Chicago. Then you lived in Arkansas for a while. Then you're in Washington for a while. And you're only a New Yorker because you wanted an easy place to win a Senate seat. So, again, Hillary, run instead of doing these speeches all the time. Money where your mouth is, to put that point home. Before we go to break, I found this exchange pretty awesome. Karl Anthony Towns. So he was the guy that the Knicks traded James Randle for, who I thought Randle was like excellent player. And you're like, well, kind of an even swap kind of thing, because you always heard about Towns in Minnesota. And in the end, yeah, maybe the better trade. Obviously, Brunson was the whole key, but the Knicks are now making their rounds on late night television, as they should. Good for them. And this is kind of funny because, you know, when you think about it, like all 5 boroughs, you saw these watch parties going on. And the last check, Brooklyn has a team, so they probably shouldn't have too many Knicks fans there. But look, trust me, I've lived this my whole life. When you have a team that has been ensconced in, you know, the city for many, many, many decades, and then the Brooklyn Nets, you know, New Jersey Nets moved to Brooklyn, and suddenly they're Brooklyn. Brooklyn's, yeah, it's nice to have a team there, and they do well in terms of attendance, but they're not going to win over hearts and minds of people that were Knicks fans. They're not suddenly going to make the jump. I saw that with the Devils and the Rangers. Fortunately, New Jersey's population's grown so much that the Devils have a very, very nice following now at this point. But for a while, it was tough going to Devils games, especially in the playoffs, because a lot of Ranger fans there, and it was quite annoying. But anyway, the point is, we have 3 cups. Rangers have 1. Just saying, in the past, 30 years. 32. Now I'm doing my math right. Karl Anthony Towns on late night, and he makes a very interesting observation here in cut 14. Go.
Celebrating. The celebrations, honestly, were some of the most craziest things I've ever seen. And it just shows the passion our fans have. But like you said, it was so amazing to see our team bring together New York. Yeah. Like I've never seen all 5 boroughs get together. Hell, I saw Brooklyn celebrating for the Knicks. Yeah. And they have a whole team.
They got a whole team. They got a whole team.
Tough to be a Nets fan right now. Certainly, for sure. I don't know if they finished last, but they were pretty darn close to it. A team that once had Kevin Durant and James Harden and Kyrie Irving all on the same team, and they never could be healthy at the same time. And obviously now they've blown the whole thing up, and it's going to be a long time for the Nets to get back to the finals. It has been 23 years. I'm doing my math right on that one. Anyway, I'm going way over here, as Kevin is probably through a Jedi kind of thing telling me. So when we come back, we wrap this puppy up. Please do stick around.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So Vice President JD Vance has a new book out. Of course, it is already at #1. No surprise there. And what really, really helps sell books, as somebody who's had some bestsellers myself, if you can talk about your book on Fox with that audience, as big as it is, as loyal as it is, if you don't get to the bestseller list, then you've done something seriously wrong. So Communion, Finding My Way Back to Faith by the Vice President. He was on Fox and Friends yesterday. Then he went to The View. Then he was on The Five, which has like 4.5 million people watching. And then Gutfeld, which has, I think, now 6 times the audience as CNN does in that time slot. So he made the rounds on Fox, and obviously that pushed the book, according to Amazon, to a secretariat like #1 at this point. Anyway, here is Greg Gutfeld asking JD, is this why we ended the Iran war? Interesting theory here from GG. Cut #7, go.
So we're looking at this new deal, VP, and I'm wondering, did we sign the deal because the new Ayatollah is gay and we wanted to focus on Pride Month?
Yeah. Great answer here.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm so glad you agreed to do this show.
I'm glad I decided to ruin my political career by sitting here for an hour.
Guy has a sense of humor. He did awesome yesterday, especially on The View. And here he is, charming Joy Behar, where Joy Behar then said during a commercial break to him, I think you should run for president. I think you should be the Republican nominee. You have a good vibe. And then she later shared that she actually did say that on a podcast later. Anyway, here is JD, charming Joy Behar. Who thought that a Republican could do this? But, well, here we go. Cut number 12. Go.
In the book, Mr. Vice President, you make a mea culpa of sorts for calling Democrats childless cat ladies.
Oh, man.
Okay?
My most boneheaded comment.
You say that in the book, that it was boneheaded, which it was.
Thank you.
What were you thinking when you said that?
So Joy said when we were off air that I'm fine, which I think is about the best endorsement that I'm going to get out of Joy Behar for a Republican. Thank you. I appreciate that. Graded on a curve here at The View. But, I guess one of the things that I
see, he went in there and charmed the pants off of them, basically. Killed them with kindness, as I tell my children to do so often when people are itching for a fight. And boy, they wanted a food fight. Viral. JD gets angry. They get to play the victim. Nope. And if he could go to a place like that and have them laughing the way that he did, Sonny didn't even break character at all. Like total frown the entire time. Anna Navarro, too. But Joy, Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, and Alyssa Griffin, they were charmed. Even Griffin gave him a onesie for his baby that's coming soon, fourth child. He and Usha are expecting that child in the fall. Anyway, one more here. Going back to Gutfeld real quick, JD Vance on, again, I shared this stat yesterday. 12% of Kamala Harris voters are proud to be an American going into the 250th anniversary of this country. 12%, basically 1 in 10. Meanwhile, 97% of Trump supporters, Trump voters, are proud to be an American. What does it matter who the president is if you're not proud of this country overall? And that's a point here that JD makes in cut number 13. Go.
Some of it is obviously partisan, that, when your party's out of power, you have, less pride in the country. But what do you make of this huge drop off?
So I don't think that's right. Why does that need to be true that if your party's out of power, you should have less pride in your country? Like, I guarantee that when Barack Obama was president or Joe Biden was pretending to be president, that you had Republicans who still said they're proud of America. They're proud of our military. They're proud of the great people of our country. They're proud of our natural beauty. Like it says, I think 29% of Americans or of Democrats are proud of their country. I assume that includes you, even though you disagree with the present administration. So what seems to me so bizarre about this is that we've allowed a culture to develop where people feel like the country is the country's politics. And I think it's actually connected to the violent rhetoric, where if you disagree with somebody, you can justify killing them. It's really, really a bad thing. I wish Democrats, all of them, were proud of our country. We should be proud of our country.
Great answer. And it's true, right? When Obama was president, hey, do I want him in there? No. But I'm not going to say I hate the country now. I still understand I live in the wealthiest country in the world, the freest country in the world, the world's lone superpower. And look what I'm doing now. I get to talk about things on the radio and get paid for it. Get to go on TV and get paid for it. Get to write about things and get paid for it. Get to write books, do speeches. Yeah. I'm quite happy being here, and I don't care who is in office. All right, one more before we go. Real quick, cut number 15. Here's Kennedy on Gutfeld asking for a discount code if Trump opens up a world resort in the Middle East, and JD provides that code, believe it or not, in cut number 15. Go.
Legacy, he wants its stability in the Middle East and to be able to turn the entire place into a massive Trump world resort, which I also celebrate because I'm hoping by being on the same show with Vice President Vance that I get a discount code when it opens.
Yes.
Which would absolutely be amazing.
Yeah.
And, to Kat's
if you want
point,
the discount code, it's Trump 2028. That's
See, that's quick. That's good stuff there. Anyway, the show went quick as well. We're back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country and around the world. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.